China and the US. Relations have always been uneasy, and in recent years, somewhat strained. The two powers are fighting for leadership on the world stage. Once PRC was an agrarian country in a state of decline after two wars, and while the Chinese people were working for the communist future, the computer industry began to take off across the ocean in the United States. China started mastering new technologies later in the late 1970s after Deng Xiaoping's economic reforms, which emphasized science and technology as the country's main productive force. In 1979, with the approval of American President Jimmy Carter, a group of 52 Chinese experts traveled to the United States for training. Fast forward almost 50 years later, and now China claims to become a world leader in artificial intelligence by 2030, which might be a sign that the student has surpassed the teacher. And if you've ever read 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, you'd know that's frowned upon. I'm Nick, and in this episode, we're going to find out just how much. Star Trek Fleet Command. If you're a space enthusiast or a Star Trek fan and haven't tried Star Trek Fleet Command yet, now's the perfect chance. Step into the role of a starship commander, engage in epic battles with players worldwide, master strategy and tactics from alliances, and upgrade your fleet in this thrilling game inspired by the iconic Star Trek series. The battle system operates in real time, letting you attack or be attacked by NPCs or other player ships. With an open world and stunning graphics, you'll be fully immersed in a virtual galaxy, free to explore. The game is free, and every month, new characters, ships, events, and other content are being added to the game. You can fully enjoy this 4X MMQ strategy game in a fantastic setting. Here you can crew iconic ships with some of the most legendary characters from over 50 years of Star Trek history and command a starbase on the edge of civilized space. Starting in June of 2024, you'll find two new iconic figures, Epic Officer Mirror Picard and Rare Officer Mirror Borg data, and 20 core and side missions available in the game. Starfleet is rolling out the red carpet for you with daily welcome gifts. Enjoy daily rewards and unlock the epic Romulan officer Nero after just 7 days of gameplay. Nero boosts weapon damage by 40%. The opponent's ship is burning at the beginning of each round. Don't forget to log in each day and snag those rewards before they vanish into deep space. Star Trek Fleet Command is available on both desktop and mobile with a Scopely account. You can easily start playing at home and continue on the road. Follow the link in the description, enter the promo code BOOST, and receive a beginner station upgrade content packed with 300 Latinum, 100K Par Steel, 10K Tritanium, and more. An exciting journey awaits. Join us. Today, Beijing is one of 10 cities in the country where Baidu's, basically a driverless Uber, operate. Since its debut in 2022, the company has been steadily expanding its fleet of vehicles. Quote, "Overall, our cars have fulfilled 4 million orders, and the total road mileage has exceeded 43.5 million miles, or 70 million kilometers. Given this success, Baidu has become the world's largest hailing platform for unmanned cars." End quote. Coming from Wan Chong, Chief Brand Manager of Baidu Intelligent Driving Group. Users' interest in artificial intelligence technology is growing day by day. By 2040, China is projected to have about 12 million autonomous vehicles in operation. At the end of 2023, China surpassed Japan in car exports. The increased demand has sparked an influx of young manufacturers. For example, XPeng said it will invest $486 million in AI development. In case you want to get up to speed on Chinese automakers, check out our Beijing Auto Show 2024 video found in the description below. And if we look to the US, it seems somewhat behind its Asian competitors. Experiments with unmanned cars were undertaken by Google back in 2009. Later, Cruise, a San Francisco-based company founded in 2013, began testing its cars on the city's roads 2 years later. The self-driving car ride with a human inside took place in February of 2022. Cruise has long adapted conventional cars for unmanned driving, growing its fleet from 50 to 350 vehicles. Now the company is preparing to launch a 6-seat Origin model that was created with the concept of ride-sharing in mind. Unlike previous cars, it has no manual controls. So far, the driverless cab service is not available in all major U.S. cities. Residents of San Francisco, California, however, get dibs on unmanned cars, for some reason particularly popular there. Not without drama, though. Last summer alone, there were about 660 minor accidents involving unmanned cars. There were no casualties, but it soaked Cruise's reputation and also put a dent in trust for this technology. Meanwhile, Tesla CEO Elon Musk announced that he will introduce his own robo-taxis in August of 2024. The millionaire traveled to China in April for the same reason. According to official sources, Elon offered to test the full function of Tesla's unmanned driving in China by implementing it in robo-taxis. We're on the edge of our seats to see what's going to come out of this. Since 2015, the autonomous vehicle industry in China has grown tremendously thanks to legislation and infrastructure put in place. This has been part of the country's drive to develop artificial intelligence to compete with the US. However, China is currently lagging behind America in terms of artificial intelligence development. When OpenAI introduced ChatGPT, the Chinese were caught off guard. They didn't expect the company to be able to introduce such a tool in such a short time. For regular Chinese, American tech is unavailable due to the Great Firewall. But that's not the only reason to create local alternatives. In 2023, Chinese tech companies started to introduce chatbots that generate new ideas one after another. In March same year, China introduced a ChatGPT lookalike from Chinese tech giant Baidu's Ernie bot. In the first 19 hours after its launch, Ernie bot surpassed 1 million users. Since then, the bot's user database has reached 14 million users. Baidu even claimed that their Ernie AI chatbot is better than OpenAI's ChatGPT, which has 100 million active users every week worldwide. That said, Chinese bot was unable to answer the question of what happened on June 4, 1989, or evaluate China's zero-COVID policy. One of the major limitations today for Chinese professionals is the lack of data. Most websites around the world are in English. Only 1.5% are in Chinese. This has created a dilemma for local companies. If they teach their AI models in English, they will not be as popular with local users. Usually, PRC residents generate content or interact with the web through a super app like WeChat or Weibo. This has created additional obstacles for artificial intelligence data collection. In addition, not all companies are willing to share collected data. Recently, ByteDance, the company behind the popular TikTok app, was accused of storing and sharing personal data of American users with Chinese authorities. In the wake of that, in 2022, the US announced a ban on the sale of computer chips and advanced equipment for their production to China. Artificial intelligence chips such as the NVIDIA H800 and F800, specifically designed for the Chinese market, were also added to this list. The Biden administration also issued an order to restrict U.S. investment into China. Most of the problems are related to the application of AI in military and defense. It can be assumed that the United States is a bit about a serious opponent and is trying its best to hinder China's technological development. You've probably come across many videos online of humanoid robots that look eerily similar to humans. They are manufactured at the X-Robots factory in the coastal city of Dalian in northeastern China. Engineers designed the robots with a focus on improving facial expressions and emotions. We already talked about this in our previous video, found in the description below. The company said it takes 2 weeks to a month to produce a humanoid robot, and the price ranges from 1.5 million to 2 million yuan, or 200,000 to 270,000 US. At the moment, the main purpose of the company's robots is to be exhibited in museums, one of which X-Robots has placed in the same building as its factory. But looking into its crystal ball, the company says that in the future, humanoid robots will play a much more important role in healthcare and education. But not only there, Chinese automakers are introducing humanoid robots in their factories. Dongfeng Motors will use a robot created by UBTech for quality control, for instance. Initially, the Walker S model robots will check seatbelts, door locks, headlights, and frame quality. And then the robots will be entrusted with more demanding tasks, such as assembly. Thanks to UBTech's collaboration with Baidu, the robot has been trained to carry on conversations and solve tasks in real time. Now, according to developers, with its capabilities, the humanoid is no inferior to the famous Figure 1 robot. Also, recently Unitree has presented its G1. The manufacturers claim that the robot is capable of running for 2 hours and has a maximum speed of 6.5 feet or 2 meters per second. It's also an excellent acrobat and can keep its balance with a total of 43 joints. In the video, the engineer pushes the robot sideways any which way. G1 can also flex its core and tilt to the floor. Yo! The robot can hold a bottle in its hands and pop it, although in the video, it spills it. So much for working as a waiter though. And this is currently the cheapest humanoid robot with such functionality. You can buy it on AliExpress for only 16 big ones. The race is not only in the field of humanoid robots. Unitree also has a robot dog, a direct competitor to Spot from Boston Dynamics. The Chinese, however, are not constrained by prejudices and using robots in the military. Recently, China and Cambodia held a joint exercise called Golden Dragon 2024 with robot dogs. Check it out, it has an automatic on its back. Such robots are designed for combat operations in urban environments. In contrast to flying robots, ground unmanned walking rifles for military purposes began to appear only recently. Local sources claim that this tech is already perfectly capable of shooting. Chinese robot dog is based on the Unitree robot and has a large language model integrated into it. Scary, but not everything is rosy on the other side of the planet either. Earlier, Vision 60 robot dog from Ghost Robotics was tested in the US. The model was designed to work with the military in unfavorable conditions, meaning this puppy can play at temperatures of -40 to 130 Fahrenheit or -40 to 55 centigrade and is also waterproof. First, the tech was tested in Lorton, Virginia, and then it was sent to El Paso, Texas to continue testing under more rigorous conditions. And since then, not a word about it. Where are you, Vision 60? The year 2024 can be called a breakthrough year among Chinese developers. Companies like Unitree, UBTech, Astribot, Lynx, and others have made great strides in creating AI-powered general-purpose working robots. But there's still a significant gap between Chinese robots and those of the world's leading manufacturers in terms of core component technologies. Today, robots from the United States look more advanced, especially Optimus from Tesla and New Atlas from Boston Dynamics. For example, Tesla reported that the robot uses an end-to-end neural network to perform a number of jobs in the factory, such as sorting battery cells. The robot does this autonomously, demonstrating high accuracy and even noticing its own mistakes while working. Engineers from Boston Dynamics have recently startled everyone in the industry by presenting a new model which many experts have already called the most advanced humanoid robot in the world. Why this is so, you can find out in our previous video found you know where. And that's where the good news ends, because the speed with which new products appear and are promoted on the Chinese market can only be compared to the speed of Starship launches. The rivalry between countries has reached the sky. Now countries are trying to outdo each other in air cabs as well. China has taken the lead. EHang has become the first company in the world to be authorized to develop a fully autonomous air cab. EH216S. Those are electric airplanes with vertical takeoff and landing. They're capable of carrying up to 2 passengers or more than 600 pounds or 270 kilos of cargo. The aircraft can fly for about 60 minutes up to 18 miles or 29 kilometers per hour while being controlled by a central command center. Attempts to introduce environmentally friendly air transportation have been made in the land of the free and home of the brave. Last fall, an air cab was tested in New York City. The company, Joby Aviation, made a demo flight on a helipad in the center of Manhattan. It was the first flight by an electric air cab in the city's history. Yay! The machine takes off and lands vertically, transitioning to horizontal flight mid-air. A pilot and 4 passengers can fit inside. The Iron Bird flies at a speed of 200 miles or 320 kilometers per hour, and the company plans to begin commercial passenger transportation in 2025. It will offer fast flights, emission-free. And in the early summer of 2024, Archer Aviation said it received certification from the Federal Aviation Administration to provide AirCab services, and from what we understand, it's ready to rock and roll. But it's not just US and China that are working on implementing AirCabs. Companies around the world are puzzled by the creation of fast and environmentally friendly transportation. American financial conglomerate Morgan Stanley predicts that the market for urban electric transport is expected to reach $1.5 trillion by 2040 globally. There are now 2 stations in space: the International Space Station, where American, Japanese, European, Canadian, Russian astronauts party it up, and a separate Chinese station. The reason was the Wolf Amendment in 2011, which prohibited cooperation or coordination with China. In response, the Chinese created their own station, Tiangong, which became operational in late 2022. Authorities have announced that they plan to use it for the next 10 years, which will outlast the ISS, scheduled to be decommissioned by 2028. The hard work and perseverance of the Chinese is nothing short of inspiring. Here is the total number of launches conducted by the US and Russia, and here is China. In 2011, even though their space program improved, they were still lagging far behind. But a decade later, things have changed dramatically. China has rapidly increased the frequency of their launches. First, the PRC assembled 2 of the 3 required lab modules for Tiangong. The station's third last module, Mengtian, was launched in October of 2022. According to the Beijing space program, a rotating team of 3 astronauts will be permanently stationed at the station, and the crew will obviously conduct scientific experiments. The country also plans to camp on the surface of the moon by 2028. China wants to get ahead in the space race by investing billions of dollars in space flight and exploration. The landing of robotic rovers on Mars last year and on the moon a few weeks ago has made the PRC the second and third country in the world to do so, respectively. China is turning the nozzle up on high technology. In April of 2023, the country's solar power generation reached 430 gigawatts, which makes it the largest producer of alternative energy in the world. The country is on track to more than doubling capacity by 2025. In the first half of 2023 alone, China exported 114 gigawatts of solar panels. This dominance has some countries worried. Since 2012, Europe and the US have begun implementing prohibitive programs against China. As a result, additional restrictive measures have been imposed on Chinese exports. Quote, "The US is going to increase taxes on imports of PV products from China to protect its companies. The fact is that the cost of American products is much higher than Chinese products. Therefore, the entry of Chinese into the market could have a negative impact on America's economy." End quote. That's by Dr. He Jijiao, Executive Deputy Director of the Institute of Energy Transition and Social Development from Tsinghua University. The trade rivalry between the US and China intensified in August of 2022 when Biden administration banned exports of advanced microchips to China. In the fall of the same year, the EU announced its intention to ban Chinese solar panels, saying that the products were made using forced labor. Now, apparently, Beijing is considering exporting key technologies in the field of solar energy. China controls 75% of the production process for assembling solar cells and modules, as well as 85% of solar panels themselves. Initially, alternative energy did not spike much of an interest in PRC. It was European demand that drove China's investment in the renewable energy sector. China will buy raw materials from abroad and use foreign technology and equipment to process PV cells domestically before exporting them. Because of China's lower labor and operating costs, they can become profitable faster and raise funds for rapid expansion. At a meeting during the APEC summit in November of 2023, Presidents Joe Biden and Xi Jinping tried to restore understanding between their countries. Two leaders agreed to renew a decades-old agreement on science and technology, which would allow R&D cooperation between the two superpowers. But for now, the issue remains uncertain. In conclusion, China is a dominant force in renewable energy today. but the country will have to convince the world of the viability of its artificial intelligence if it wants to become a world leader by 2030 and dislodge the US from the pedestal. So far, the two countries are neck to neck, with the US still in the lead due to its database and the essential microchips. It's safe to say that China will establish the production of any products that the US deprives it of, but how fast and at what cost? What do you guys think? Will Chinese AI catch up to the United States? Let us know in the comments below. And subscribe to our channel, like our videos if you did, and if you didn't, let us know what we can do better via comments or email. Otherwise, thank you for watching and stay tuned for more from the world of high tech.
Yeah.